Thank you, Mark. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is that you are right now. There are wonderful offerings through IJS for Elul. If you want something a little more personalized, it's only 1 week left. So if you're interested, email me. You'll find the way to do that on my website or register. I'd be happy to work with you on a discount. I'm going through the month of Elul, which I'll talk about in just a minute as I frame today's meditation, but each week has a particular focus. So there's one more class. And if that doesn't feel like where you need to be, I welcome you to a morning meditation that I began about a month ago, Tuesday mornings, 8 to 8:20 Eastern, a great way to start your day. So the links are in the chat. And thanks, Mark. So before we begin, I mentioned that I have a particular corpus of the way that I look at Elul. I look at each week with respect to a particular relationship. And the first week, I like to focus on our relationship with ourself, grounding, connecting to heart and soul. And the second week, we branch out to explore our relationships with others. And this third week is the week that we explore our relationship with the earth, with nature, with creation. And the fourth week, our week with the sacred, the creator. So before we actually begin our meditation today, I invite you to, if you have a window that you can look out, to take a moment and look out that window. If it's available to you to open that window and feel the fresh air coming in, take a minute to do that. See what you see, even if you're in the middle of the city and what you see is a tiny bit of sky and a lot of building. Take in nature. And when you're ready, bring your attention to your seat. If it's comfortable for you, take a breath. Breathe into your heart, your mind, your solar plexus. Breathe out. If it's preferable for you, focus on the air or the light just outside of your eyelids, whether they're closed or softened. And feel that surrounding you, holding you, entering you. Find whatever ground of focus is right for you. And when you have found that spot of focus, feel your spine. Feel it branching out to the sides, your ribs widening, like the trunk of a tree, making space for the fluids of life to go up and down, to expand and release. Bring your awareness to your hips, whatever they're sitting on. Feel them connecting down to the earth, as if you were sitting right on the Mother Earth herself. Feel the freedom of draining away all of your stress and tension into the earth. Notice your legs and your feet. And feel your feet, too, on the earth. The softness, the rich smell of soil, things growing right under your feet or around them. Here to allow yourself to be held, to be nurtured, to be one with creation. We are taught in Genesis that the human being, the Adam, is created from the soil, the Adamah. We literally are soil beings. So as you sit, feel the interconnection, the divine overlap between your very essence and the soil. You might, in your mind's eye, call up a scene that speaks to you of the majesty of creation. It might be right outside where you're sitting now, or out your window. It might be a favorite stream, or mountain area. It might be the ocean and the sand of the beach. Or somewhere else entirely. Allow this scene to absorb into you. Feel the sky and the air come into your cells. What colors are there? What does the air feel like? Smell like? Bring it into you. What's growing around you? Can you touch it? Is it smooth or rough? Fuzzy or clear? Are there creatures, little ones crawling in the earth, larger ones singing as they fly by, even larger ones watching you, watching them? What are the smells here? Is it the sweet salt of the ocean? The deep mossy smell of the forest? Freshly cut grass? Roses? What are the smells? Bring your attention back to the earth on which you sit. Is it warm? Cold? See how it hugs you. As you continue to experience your senses and your interconnection with the beauty of creation in which you sit. Feel that oneness with the earth, with the soil, and feel your home as we continue silently in this experience. Gently bring your focus back to yourself. And notice what part of you is air, responds to air. What part of you is water and knows water? What part of you is the warmth of fire? What part of you is earth, and where do you feel it? Know that you are an earth being. And as you walk through your day, remember that the earth is here as your support, your parent, your guide, and your friend. And we bring our attention back to our shared space.
Thank you so much, Robin.
You're welcome.
Friends, let's seal this beautiful practice, offering an opportunity for those of you who are in mourning or observing a yard site, or if it's your custom to join in the Kaddish, the mourner's Kaddish, to do so. If you're not reciting Kaddish, we ask please stay present so you can support and offer your compassion for those who are in mourning. Thanks to Harry for sharing the words of the Kaddish on the screen. You can put the name or names of anyone you're honoring today in the chat now or after you recite Kaddish. And if you're joining me, please rise in body or in spirit, and you can unmute at this time. And I'll sound the shofar at the end of the recitation of Kaddish. Yitkadal, Hadash Shemei Rabbi.
Shemei Rabbi.
Yama
Yama
divrach
divrach
yamlich
yiritei v'yamlich
malchutei
malchutei
v'chayechon
v'chayechon
v'yamechon
v'yamechon
v'chayei d'chol
v'chayei
Beit
d'chol Beit
Yisrael
Yisrael
v'agala b'zman
v'agala
kariv
b'zman kariv
v'yimru
v'yimru.
amen.
Amen.
Yehi shmei Rabba
Shmei
mevarach
Rabba
le'olam
mevarach
olamei
le'olam
amaya.
amaya.
Yitbarach
Yiparach,
v'yishtabach
Yishtabach,
v'yitpa'ar
Yipa'ar,
v'yitramam
V'yitramam,
v'yitnaseh
V'yitnaseh,
v'yithatar
V'yithatar,
v'yitared
V'yithalel,
v'yithalal shmei
V'yithalal, Shmei
dekudusha.
Kedusha, Brichu,
La'ela
Le'ela,
mikol
Mikol
birchata
Birchata
v'shirata
V'Shirata,
tushbechata
Tushbechata
v'nechamata
V'Nechamata,
da'amiran
Amiran,
ba'alma
B'Yama, V'Imru.
amen.
Amen.
Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya
Shemaya.
v'chaim aleinu
Alinu
v'al kol
V'Yal
Yisrael
Yisrael.
v'yimru amen.
Amen. Aseh Shalom
V'yamav
Hamav. Uya Aseh
Shalom
Shalom.
aleinu
Alinu
v'yal
V'Yal Kol
Yisrael
Yisrael.
v'yal
Kol
kol
Yoshvei
Yoshvei
Tevel.
Tevel v'yimru
V'Imru.
amen.
Amen.
Friends, I'll sound the shofar as we've been doing throughout the month of Elul. Again, thanks to our teacher today, Rabbi Robin Damsky, to Harry Gobal for holding our space, each of you for being here. If you're leaving us now, hope you'll join us tomorrow. We'll be led in practice by my dear friend and colleague at IJS, Kohenet Kashira Halev Fife. Friday, we'll be sitting into Shabbat with Rabbi Shefa Gold, and we'll look forward to that. Hope you can join us for either or both of those. And just a reminder that all the sessions as well the recordings are posted on our YouTube channel. Also a reminder that our podcast, Jewish Meditation for Everyone, which draws from the practice from our teachings and meditations on the daily sit, is back after a hiatus over the summer. We have 2 new episodes. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can access them that way as well. So you're welcome to stay on. We hope you'll stay on to join us in conversation with our teacher today, Rabbi Robin Damsky, about today's beautiful practice. And if you have a question you'd like to ask A vote for more podcasts. Thank you very much, Mara. We love that. Um, I guess the cats, that's great. The cats know. The cats know the shofar. I'm glad we're not terrifying them. Anyway, if you have a question for Robin, as always, you know what to do. Please preface your question by writing question all in caps, and I'll keep an eye out for that. Um, Robin, thank you for the nature focus today, and also, of course, you were speaking. I don't know if you were intentionally speaking directly to me as somebody who sits here and gets to see a little sliver of sky through the concrete here in Manhattan. So thanks for including me in that. Um, uh, and I want to, we'll dive a little bit more deeply into the this practice of connecting with and cultivating our relationship with nature. That was the focus today. But I wanted to invite you, if you would say a few words about just your kind of shita, your like approach to Elul, and how and why you divide up the weeks that way. The first week being on the focus on relationship with self, second week relationship with others, third week relationship with nature, fourth week nature with divine. Can you what's your model there? Can you say a little bit
Yeah,
about that?
well, first of all, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's me. I forgot to, there we go. I turned off.
Okay, great. Gotcha. Um, First of all, I lived in Manhattan for many years. I'm from New York, and so still in my mind's eye, there's always a space for concrete and skyscrapers. And I know that many of us are in New York, so
Yeah, concrete is made out of nature also, so.
exactly. And our ancestors actually built bricks, although maybe not the same kinds, but yeah. So I don't know exactly where it came from. I recall being at I think it was a Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur at Eilat Chaim in upstate New York a really long time ago. And yeah, I think it was a Rosh Hashanah, and there was a tashlich. And the tashlich was around these four relationships. And we often, our tradition teaches us about the relationship ben adam le'atzmo, our relationship with ourselves, ben adam le'chavero, with others, ben adam le'makom, our relationship with the Creator. And somehow it was missing our relationship with the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that maybe that's what sparked it. And that was years before I ever really studied Judaism. But
Mm-hmm.
somehow it stayed with me. And a few years ago, I was really prompted towards compassion in the month of Elul. We have a lot of teaching about how we have to do teshuvah, and we have to atone, and we have to beat our chests. And something about that said to me, no, we are so patterned to be hard on ourselves. And what if we started the month of Elul with acknowledging ourselves and treating ourselves with care and kindness, doing wonderful things for ourselves during the week, acknowledging what we accomplished this year, which isn't to say that we don't acknowledge where it's ours to release and where it's ours to improve. But in the context of self-care, it seems to me that there's a softer, more willing energy to then say, yeah, I really could have done better on that, or I'd really like to do better on that. And then once we have that foundation of really grounding into ourselves, to then be able to look at our interactions with others and bring ourselves and our kindness to those others and do the same.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I really could use a little help right here.
No,
Um,
I really am appreciating thinking about this model of preparing, bringing closing out the old year and preparing for the new year by focusing on the question of, the phrase I'm thinking of is like right relationship,
mm,
if that's appropriate or not, or just focusing on
right.
the nature and extent and healthiness of connection to self, others, planet, divine, which is a very, like you said, is a kind of, it's a very different framing than the kind of like, the report card of the year. Like, how did I do this year? Right.
Right.
Where are the merits and demerits? It's a very different way of framing it. And so I just want to appreciate that. So now let's dive in a little more deeply into the relationship with nature. And maybe you could say a little bit about the different, the different elements that you invite us to look into, right? And where that comes from and what that, how do we do that on an ongoing basis?
Right. So, I think that we're starved for connection to nature.
Mm-hmm.
And even those of us who may live with it more accessibly to our front door, that doesn't mean that we have or take the time to really be in it. I live on a couple of acres and I'm planting a food forest and a meditation labyrinth garden, and I never spend enough time out there. Um, what I know is that when I do spend time in nature, whether it's here or at the beach or anywhere, that I reconnect. I get out of my brain, I get out of my
Mm-hmm.
head.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that I don't have the concerns and the awarenesses of the things that are on my mind, but it gives me an opportunity to regenerate. And I was thinking also, particularly about today, that so much of our world right now is in conflict because of land, either because of fading resources, because of climate disasters, because of this is my history and this is where my generations go back.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that is going on in Israel and Gaza. But all around the earth, we're dealing with refugees who are looking for a place that often has something to do with some kind of loss of land. And for us to consciously and conscientiously recognize that this is our source and that there's abundance. The earth is just filled with abundance. It regenerates itself. It teaches us to regenerate. And
Mm-hmm.
so the elements, we could say that they're the same elements in the astrological
Mm-hmm.
theme. Chinese medicine has 5 elements. They also include metal. I choose the 4 that are perhaps the most accessible to us. Earth, we can put our feet on, air, we're breathing. Fire, the sun, although we don't want to get too close to fire, but it is one of the elements within us. Our hearts
Mm-hmm.
are beating. And water, which makes up about 70% of our cells. So we are
Mm-hmm.
the elements.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, this says, probably says a lot about me that when we focus on nature and you were at the beginning, I think you were, inviting us to imagine ourselves as a tree, right? With the um, fluids rising and falling. As soon as I go to a tree in the fall, I start thinking about the leaf here in the northern hemisphere anyway, like, leaves changing and dying and falling off. And I'm thinking about, it made me think about, like,
Being old and gray.
in the spring, I just love when the leaves are brand new.
Yeah,
There's like
me too.
completely unmarred, like birth, they're just perfect green.
And they're such a like a sweet, sensitive green, when they
Yes,
first come in. There's just, yeah,
right.
I can almost taste it.
But
Yeah.
then very quickly, much more quickly than one might think, there are holes that come like they start getting eaten or they start, fraying around the edge. They start turning brown or they start drying out. And then in July, I notice already leaves have dried out and dropped off. So I just want to invite you, others may have this experience too.
Yeah.
Like, like I definitely have a judgment. Like I like the bright new green leaves. And of course I love the colored leaves of fall, but I don't love the leaves falling off in the fall. I don't love them falling off in July, reminding me of like, where it feels premature. So when we connect with nature in a relationship with nature, there's both this sense of like you just said, the earth is so regenerative, right? And also there's the cycle of birth, life,
Right.
and death. So
Yeah.
um, maybe you have a few words to say to people like me who,
Yeah.
won't
Yeah.
struggle with that aspect of it.
Yeah. So it's interesting that we have more than one New Year during the Jewish year. And the New Year of spring is Passover, right? And we are birthed as a people.
Right?
The New Year for atonement, the blasting of the shofar, the birth of creation happens in the fall.
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
the fall in the land of Israel, the climate is not exactly the same as it is here in the Western Hemisphere, but there are always changes in the seasons, right? And we think about Sukkot, and we are to find branches to literally put on our sukkah, which are live and green when we begin. And as the holiday goes on, they fall in your soup and they brown out and they're all over the deck or wherever it is that your sukkah is. So I think that and it seems to me that it's not accidental that our day of atonement or at one-ment
Hmm.
is in the middle of this process, that we recognize that as we bring in and we connect, there's also triage, there's also change, there's also loss. And that even I would be surprised if there's anyone here with us right now who hasn't experienced something in their life that has really cut them and burned their leaves or severed off some of their branches or injured their body in some way, emotionally, physically. That we go through all kinds of deaths in our year, which is why I love Mechaye Hametim in the Amidah, because we are constantly acknowledging loss, a death, a regeneration.
Hmm.
I don't know if that helps.
It definitely helps. I mean, I was kind of, teeing it up for you. I agree with everything you just said, and what others have said. And also, like Patricia's comment in the chat that the flowers in her garden are dying, and she loves them even more.
Yeah,
Of course, I resonate with that as well. In terms of the preciousness, but coming to terms with the aspect of ourselves that is finite. Our physical finitude and mortality is an
right.
essential part of this process, and to feel held through that. And it helps, I mean, one of the things about nature, like you brought our attention to that. Yes, I don't like the leaves drying out and falling, but then I watch them, morph into mulch, and the
Right.
next spring I see them there and I realize, oh, they're really feeding, it's completely part of the system and feeding whatever's going to be new in the new round. So I'm going to answer my own question by saying, one can't deny the sadness and grief around loss about, in aging and mortality and death.
Right.
But there's also comfort in that awareness that, everything is cyclical and that nothing is really lost. That's an
Yes.
illusion. So,
Right. And even the tree falls down, right? And like you said, it nourishes the forest in the future.
right.
I love a good spring day and a beautiful summer day. And right now the leaves are just beginning to turn here in North Carolina. They're probably richer in color up north. But there is also that incredible beauty of winter,
Hmm.
of seeing snow on the ground, of being out where there are mountains or just open space, and you can see the trees. There's something about that beauty as well. For me, I always wished it was shorter when I was living in New York, but I still appreciated that beauty, um, and that it is definitely the part of the cycle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. So thank you so much for connecting us with that
my
today.
pleasure.
Robin, as always, really so much gratitude to you for your teaching. Thanks
Thank
to
you.
Harry for holding our space today.
Thank you, Harry.
Look forward to practicing tomorrow with Kashira. Hope you'll join us then. And until then, be safe and well, everyone. Many blessings. Take
Blessings all.